Welcome back to the channel. So today, as you can see, I have my Evo 10 out, and what I want to do today is talk about why I went with a flex fuel setup on my car. Now if you've been watching the channel for a while, you may know that when I was on the stock turbo, I just had a dual map setup, so one map for E85 and one map for 98 pump fuel, and at the time that's all I wanted. I was happy with that. I didn't want to spend the extra, close to around $1,000 to go with a flex fuel setup. But after using it for 6 months to a year, I kind of got over the fact that if you do want to change the fuels across, it's kind of a big hassle. You have to get the tank as empty as you possibly can. You then have to fill up with the different fuel that you're changing to, change the maps across, which is all easy to do obviously. But then for that first tank, and some say 2 tanks of fuel that you've changed, you need to not hit boost and to just drive it off boost and just get through that tank or tank and a half or 2 tanks, depending on who you listen to. And once you've done that, then you can start on your next fill up, you can start actually hitting boost again. So it's really annoying to drive these cars without boost at all. It takes a long time to go through a tank of fuel, and I found it was just more hassle than it was worth. So yeah, I have now obviously changed turbos, and then I've gone with a flex fuel setup. So when I did the tune on my car with the new turbo, I first did the pump fuel tune, then I did an E85 one, and then I installed my flex fuel sensor after that, just because that's the way it kind of happened. It was a mid-tuning decision to go with flex fuel. And so since then, yeah, obviously I started off on E85. I've now put about half a tank of pump fuel on top of the 85, run that down to empty, filled up again with pump fuel, and I've just been driving the car to and from work. Hasn't really needed the extra horsepower that the E85 gives me. So now, as I'm actually going for a drive up the mountains this weekend, as you can see, I've got my 2 containers there for my E85. I'm actually going to fill the car up with some more E85. Should be about 3/4 of a tank. Then I'll have these 2 20 litres here, and then I should be making an extra 36 kilowatts or 48 horsepower just from changing the fuels across. But it also means I can just do it on the fly. If I'm out driving somewhere and I'm running low on E85, because as we know, E85 does run out faster, then I can just pull up any service station, put some pump fuel in and keep driving, and I can still hit boost, the car drives fine, it still makes good power. So yeah, I'm gonna go for a drive now off to United, which is where we get our E85 in Australia, and figured I'll chuck the GoPro on my head, see if I can run the rest of this pump fuel out that's in the car, and yeah, we'll talk about why I'm really enjoying this change and a bit more in depth on how it all works. Alright, so I'm currently heading off to go get some E85, like I said. It's a really warm day today, so I decided to go with the windows up and aircon. So hopefully the interior rattles aren't too much. But yeah, so I thought I'd talk a bit about the cost to go with flex fuel. So there's a bunch of different flex fuel kits you can get. I went with the NRG Ops. I did start to film an install video of that, but really didn't know what I was doing and couldn't actually finish the job because this one that I bought requires to be plugged into the ECU, and I just didn't want to go pulling the ECU out. I've never done that before in case I had problems, and I had another car blocked in at home. So ended up getting Alan at AK Racing, who helped me out with that, luckily, because we were there for something else and he just quickly finished that job off. But the NRG Ops kit doesn't actually have a gauge, because I didn't really feel like I needed a gauge. After talking to my tuner and to Alan at AK Racing, the gauge is really just useful when tuning. It's obviously cool to look and go, oh, I'm currently running E60 at the moment, but it doesn't really matter. The flex sensor is doing all the work. You don't really need to know what it's running. And if I ever do need to check it, I can just plug my laptop in with my Tatrix cable, and using EvoScan I can see my ethanol content. So the flex sensors, they range in price, so you can get the kits with the gauge. The one that I bought from NRG Ops, it's actually the kind of old version at the moment. If you're in the US, they have a new version with like a Bluetooth app, so you can display all your readings, and I think it's a bit easy to install. You don't need to, this is plug and play, you don't need to wire into the ECU as far as I know, but that version isn't available yet in Australia or for the right-hand drive cars. So I just bought the old version, as AK Racing had one in stock there. Got that for a good deal, but they can range from the $500 mark to the $1,000 mark, I'm sure, in Australia anyway. But yeah, usually around the $500 to $600 mark for a flex fuel kit. So then once you've got that installed, you're going to need to pay for the Tefra V3 software. There might be other ways you can do it, like other softwares, but that's what I use, so that's what I'll talk about. So that's an extra licensing fee cost basically. So I used the Tefra V1 previously, and that was free, but then that was just dual map, like I said. So once you go to V3, it allows 12 switchable maps basically, or you can just go with flex fuel, and that'll use the 2 maps that you're using and sort of combine them and do all its fancy work behind the scenes that you don't have to worry about. And then so you just basically need to do 2 tunes with your tuner, basically like 2 different maps that he will make into a flex fuel map. So yeah, that's an extra $100 US, so about $150 Australian for the software licensing. And to get that, you'll send your, I think it's either your VIN code for your car, and they'll match that to your car. And then Tuner will send you a file that you'll sort of load into your ECU so that the software knows this is the right car that it's getting flashed onto, and then yeah, you'll be able to tune from there. Okay guys, so we just filled up with our tank of E85, so we've changed fuels obviously. So here's the startup, start straight up, and then you can see the check engine light flashing. So that's normal, that's what it's meant to do. So that's the flex sensor reading and working out, and there we go, that's done. So now the car has adjusted itself, it's ready to drive. Okay guys, so actually on the way home now, but yeah, my SD card had an error, so it didn't record some of what I said. So I thought I'd quickly summarize basically. So if you have a daily driver and you want to go to E85, you're currently on pump fuel, I would recommend just spending the extra at the time and just going flex fuel. It is well worth it. If you have a car that you don't drive other than on the weekends and E85's readily available to you, then yeah, maybe just you don't even need a dual map, maybe just go an E85 map. But for me, E85, it's only about a 15-minute drive, got a few different stations about 15 minutes from me, so it's not too hard to get. But with the combined problems of worse fuel economy, usually more expensive at the pump, because in Australia at the moment, ethanol price at the pump has actually gone up 20 cents a litre, whereas just normal 98 pump fuel that my car normally runs, it's actually gone down. It's been during the whole COVID situation, ethanol being used, I guess, high demand for hand sanitizer and stuff. So yeah, the price did go up 20 cents a litre, which is a lot. It used to be $1.49.9 a litre, and it's now $1.69.9 a litre. That's quite a jump, especially considering that you get about 30% worse fuel economy using that fuel. And then the fact that pump fuel went down in price, and it's now usually between $1.25 and $1.45 a litre, and you're getting an extra 30% economy. Yeah, you don't get the extra horsepower, but if you're just driving your car like I am at the moment, and you're not using that extra 50 horsepower, 40, 50 horsepower that ethanol's giving you, then really it's not needed. And then if you were to just have a dual map and you had to try and do the whole changeover of maps and then change back again when you want to go back on E85, it's just a big hassle. And I'd rather spend the extra money and just get the flex fuel sensor and just have just so easy to use. Like, it just makes it such a daily drivable car, even though you are running E85. Like, you can just pop some pump fuel straight on top, keep driving the car. If you're out on a mountain drive or anything and you've filled up with the E85, you've gone through more fuel than what you planned, and you're looking and there's no E85 nearby, that would be a bit of a nightmare if you didn't have flex fuel. If you do, you just pull up, pop some fuel on top, there you go, keep driving, you can still hit boost, you can still drive hard. So it's really just a convenience thing. But yeah, so like I said, if you're just driving the car on the weekends, you probably only need just a single E85 map. You can get a dual map just for in case you ever do need to drive it around. I know in the US, E85 at different places can vary in quality, and a lot of people recommend it for that reason, that you could put some E85 in that's not as good as the E85 you've been tuned on and cause engine problems. In Australia, it's like we only have one place that sells ethanol now. It's United, and it seems to be pretty consistent from what I've heard. I've never heard of it being wildly different at each different station. So it's mainly just for the changing over of fuels that you would want to have the flex fuel sensor. But yeah, like I said, honestly, it's in my top 5 best mods I've done to my car. So yeah, I think I will end the video there, guys. So I hope you enjoyed, hope you found it helpful. If you have been considering going to an E85 tune, then I'd say just spend the extra and get the flex fuel sensor. If you're on dual map and you're changing mods and you need to get a retune, then again I would say the same thing. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful for any of you guys who have been considering it. I know before I bought my car and whenever I do mods, I do a lot of researching, find videos to watch, read forums and stuff to see, the pros and cons of different mods. And yeah, so that's all the top videos I'll try and make on this channel, videos that I think will be helpful to other people as I think they would have been helpful to me. So yeah, with that said, if you did enjoy, please give the video a like down below and consider subscribing to the channel. If you want to see more content and you want to help support me, that would be greatly appreciated. But until next time, I'll catch you guys later.